Honestly, who hasn't felt that sometimes they just crave a cozy corner, a quiet solitude where it's just them and them? But this very being alone feels a bit scary too, doesn't it? It's like a voice whispers in our ear, be careful, don't end up alone. This is a very old feeling, deeply rooted. From the day humans learned to live together and rely on each other for survival, loneliness somehow became synonymous with danger, with being cut off, with being unseen. Well, our ancestors had a point. In the wild, being alone meant a lower chance of survival. This fear of loneliness is still somehow in our genes, an old survival instinct that sometimes goes off unnecessarily. But the world today is very different. We no longer have to fight a grizzly bear for a piece of bread, thankfully. However, we still get that unpleasant feeling when we sit in a corner and it's not crowded around us. It's like something is missing, like something's not right. We start checking our phones, getting lost in social media, just to escape that feeling of emptiness. There's a scientific reason for this escape too. Our brains are designed to seek social connections. When we're with others, a series of good chemicals are released in our brains that give us feelings of well being and security. Loneliness, on the other hand, can activate parts of the brain associated with pain and discomfort. That's why many of us subconsciously avoid loneliness, because our brain is trying to prevent an unpleasant feeling. But there's a very interesting paradox in all of this. All of us humans, despite this innate fear of loneliness, also need solitude in a way. Like a gardener who occasionally has to separate the weeds from the garden so that the flowers grow better, we too need moments when we are just with ourselves to grow, to think, to find ourselves. Many of the greatest ideas, many of the most important decisions in life have come to people's minds during these moments of solitude. When there's no one to call your name, to ask for your opinion, to distract you, a space opens up to hear your inner voice, to face your true self. Maybe you're thinking right now, well, these are nice words, but I really hate being alone. You have the right to feel that way. Many of us feel the same. But the key point here is enjoying being alone is a skill, not an innate trait. Like driving a car, like cooking, like any other skill, it might be difficult at first, even seem a bit scary, but with practice, with patience, you can learn how to not only enjoy those moments of solitude, but also draw strength from them. Have you ever thought about how some of humanity's most brilliant ideas and greatest achievements took shape in someone's quiet, solitary moments? It's like there's a kind of magic in those times, a golden opportunity for the mind to detach from the noise outside and focus on the inner world. When we're surrounded by sounds and images, constantly reacting to external events, we lose the chance for deep thinking. Like a river full of trash that doesn't allow the depth of the water to be seen, the busyness of life prevents us from visiting those deep layers of our being. But loneliness, like a calm pond, gives us this opportunity to become clear, to be able to see the bottom of our hearts. It's in these solitudes that we can ask ourselves life's important questions. What is truly important to me? What makes me happy? What goals do I have in life? And most importantly, who is the real me, apart from the roles I play in life? Many successful and influential people have spoken in their memoirs about the importance of moments of solitude. For example, a writer who would retreat to a remote cabin for days to find the authentic voice of their story, or a scientist who would spend hours in the silence of their lab, immersed in thought, and make great discoveries. These aren't just fictional tales. A look at the lives of creative and thoughtful individuals shows that solitude is an inseparable part of their growth and flourishing process. Even in psychological studies, this point is made that spending time alone can have many benefits for mental health. For example, loneliness helps us reduce our stress. When we distance ourselves from the hustle and bustle and the expectations of others, we experience a deep sense of calm. It's like we've pressed a mute button, and now we can comfortably listen to our own thoughts and feelings. In addition, loneliness can also boost our creativity. When the mind is freed from the constraints of social interactions, new ideas come to us more easily. A kind of mental playfulness occurs that can lead to innovative solutions and fresh perspectives. Another important benefit of loneliness is increased self awareness. When we are alone with ourselves, we gradually become more familiar with our strengths and weaknesses, our fears and dreams. We understand what motivates us and what bothers us. This self knowledge acts like a roadmap in life and helps us make better decisions and follow a more correct path. You might not believe it, but even short, regular periods of solitude can have amazing effects. We don't necessarily have to sit in a dark cave for days. Dedicating just a few minutes a day to ourselves to think, to write, to meditate, or even just to gaze at a beautiful view can gradually change our perspective on ourselves and the world around us. So let's look at loneliness as an opportunity, not a threat. An opportunity to explore our inner world, to find those hidden jewels that have been lost in the busyness of life. These moments of solitude can be our launch pad towards a more conscious, more creative, and most importantly, a life that is more in tune with our true selves. Okay? So far, we've chatted and seen that loneliness isn't that scary monster that many of us run away from. We've even realized that it can be a close friend and a wise teacher. But the main question is, how can we turn this unpleasant feeling of loneliness into a pleasant and constructive experience? How can we learn to enjoy our own company, even if it's been difficult for us so far? The good news is that this is a skill, just like I said before. And any skill can be learned, it just takes a little patience and perseverance. Let's start with a few practical steps. Step 1. Schedule dates with yourself. It might sound funny, but really set aside some time in your schedule that's just for you. Not for work, not for shopping, not for anything else except being with yourself. It could be 15 minutes after waking up, or half an hour before bed, or even an hour on the weekend. The important thing is to reserve this sacred time for yourself and stick to it. During this date with yourself, you don't have to do anything specific. You can pour yourself a cup of tea and sip it slowly. Listen to some soft music. Read a few pages of a book, or even just sit and organize your thoughts. The goal is to gradually become comfortable with the feeling of being alone and learn to enjoy this time. Step 2. Focus your attention. One of the reasons many of us run away from loneliness is that our minds start to wander into the past and future or get caught up in negative thoughts. To prevent this, we can use mindfulness techniques. Try to bring all your attention to your five senses during those solitary moments. To the taste of the tea, the smell of flowers, the sound of birds, the feeling of your clothes on your skin. When your attention is on the here and now, there's no room left for intrusive thoughts. There are also many apps and online resources that can help you learn these techniques. Step 3. Find an enjoyable activity for yourself. Loneliness is a good opportunity to engage in things you've always wanted to do but haven't had the time for. Learn an instrument, paint, garden, write, cook, or any other activity that makes you feel good. When you're busy with an enjoyable activity, time passes faster and the feeling of loneliness is replaced by a sense of satisfaction. The important thing is to do this activity just for yourself, not to show it off to someone or to get a specific result from it. The goal is simply to enjoy the process itself. Step 4. Reconnect with nature. Going out into nature, even for a short walk in a nearby park, can have a tremendous impact on our mood. Nature is full of peace and silence, and it helps us to harmonize with this silence. The sound of the wind in the trees, watching a flower, feeling the sunlight on your skin. All of these can remind us that we are not alone in this big world and that we have a deep connection with existence. Step 5. Use technology wisely. As we said, one of the reasons for fleeing loneliness is taking refuge in social media. But this refuge can be a double-edged sword. If we aimlessly scroll through these platforms, not only will we not feel better, but we might also experience envy and dissatisfaction. Try to use technology as a purposeful tool. For example, listen to an educational podcast, watch a fascinating documentary, or call an old friend you miss. The goal is to use these tools to enrich your solitude, not to escape from it. Step 6. Be patient and kind to yourself. Learning to enjoy being alone is a process, and it may take time. There will be days when you don't feel good and you want to be with others. This is completely natural. Don't blame yourself for these feelings. Treat yourself like a kind friend and remind yourself that you are learning a new skill, and every skill requires practice. Gradually, by taking these steps, you will notice that loneliness no longer has that scary and unpleasant feeling. Rather, it becomes a valuable opportunity to rest, to think, to grow, and to enjoy the company of the most important person in your life, yourself. Well, we've reached the end of this short but hopefully helpful journey. In these few sections, we've chatted together, talked about our subconscious fears of loneliness, discussed the treasures waiting to be discovered in solitude, and taken a few practical steps to befriend our alone time. Now, there's a very important point left that we need to pay close attention to. Enjoying being alone doesn't mean becoming a recluse and cutting off contact with others. In fact, quite the opposite. When we are at peace with ourselves and enjoy our solitude, we can have a more effective and fulfilling presence in our relationships. Like a tree with strong and healthy roots that can grow more beautiful branches and bear sweeter fruit. When we establish a deep and good connection with ourselves, we can have healthier and more meaningful connections with the outside world. Imagine someone who is running away from loneliness and is always looking for someone to fill that inner void. This person usually shows a kind of unhealthy dependence in their relationships, fears rejection, and might do anything to keep people in their life. These kinds of relationships are usually full of tension and unrest because the parties, instead of enjoying each other's presence, are trying to meet a need in each other. But when we learn to enjoy our solitude, we no longer need to use our relationships as a sedative or an escape route. We are happy with ourselves, and now we can enjoy the presence of others too, not out of obligation or dependence, but out of love and affection. In this state, our relationships become deeper and more honest. We are no longer afraid to show our true selves because we know that we are valuable, whether we are alone or with others. We can set healthier boundaries in our relationships and prevent abuse and discomfort. Furthermore, when we set aside time for our own solitude, we have more energy and focus to be actively present in our relationships. We are no longer that tired and bored person who is just waiting for someone to come and entertain them. Rather, we enter gatherings with a calm mind and a heart full of energy, and we can truly connect with others, listen to what they have to say, and share our experiences with them. So, my dear friend, loneliness and social connection are two sides of the same coin. Neither absolute loneliness nor constant immersion in the hustle and bustle is good. The art of living is to be able to strike a healthy balance between the two, to be able to enjoy our own solitude and also benefit from the presence of the lovely people in our lives. Let's remember that loving solitude is actually loving ourselves. When we are kind to ourselves, when we pay attention to our inner needs, and when we dedicate time to our growth and peace, then we can also give more love and kindness to the world around us. I hope this short journey into the world of loneliness has been helpful for you and that I have been able to give you a new and positive perspective on this topic. Remember that you are valuable, both in your own solitude and in the company of your friends and loved ones. So be kind to yourself and enjoy every moment of your life, whether alone or with others. Hoping for brighter days and a calmer heart for all of us. Take care of yourself.